Hello, everybody. My name is Mick McCart, and I am an author, a creative, a game designer, and so many other things. So I just wanted to welcome you to the show, Journal of an Independent Author. And hopefully my channel here will help you as a writer or soon-to-be author get your book published. And here's the steps on how to do it and how to look at things. So I had an episode before, which was my introductory episode, so I went over a lot there, but now I'm going to start breaking down things in detail. So one of the first things that people, when they come to me, they ask, how do I get my book published? And I always tell them, well, you got two ways you can go. You can publish traditionally, which is you get yourself a literary agent, and you contact book publishing companies, there's so many out there, Random House, HarperCollins, things like that. You can go that route. But the first thing you need, okay, that's the first part, is going traditional. So you want to go to a traditional publisher, like I said. So first step, get that literary agent. Now, the first thing you need to know about getting a literary agent is not that easy to get. Of course, you got to send samples of your work. Because traditional publishing companies probably aren't going to pick you up without a literary agent. Very, very important. So these guys will not take a dime off you. What they do is collect the literary agent. You do not pay them. They get paid when you get your publishing deal, and they work out a deal through that. They get a percentage of what you get from the traditional publisher. So that is the traditional way. That is the way it's been done for many, many years. But, the last 20, 25 years or so, things have been going in a more independent route. So now people have the option to independently publish. And that is, I know that because that's what I do. So now there's good things and there's bad things about it, just like there's good things and bad things about traditional publishing. Traditional publishing, you have a chance of getting really big really fast because they have the marketing means to do it. They've got the money, they've got the campaigns, everything like that. Now the downside to it is if you don't catch fire right away, they might not do anything with you ever again. Things like that. And they're going to buy into you, so they own a percentage of whatever the book is. So you probably if you want to keep going on your own after that, it gets really dicey. So, yeah, that's the downside to it. There's a great side, there's a bad side to it too. So, like everything. But like I say, when I look at things for myself, it's what you put into it. It's what you're going for. You got to play smart. If you get a traditional publisher, lawyer up quickly because you want to handle things smart. Now, when you go independent, like I said, I do, there's lots of things to consider. One, you're in control of your own destiny. You have to do everything yourself, basically, marketing, getting out in public, setting up shows. There's so many things you have to do, and there's a lot more to this than just being a writer. You've got to be like the jack of all trades when it comes to writing, promotion, things like that. Now there's some basic things about being an independent author that I'm going to talk about here in a second. Hopefully it'll help you out a little bit. So as an independent author, let me break it down real quick. The minute you start looking to publish your books for yourself, you're going to be approached by companies, because basically independent authoring is also called vanity publishing, which means you're going to publish your stuff yourself. One of the biggest misconceptions there are that when I talk to people, especially independent authors, when I'm signing my books and I'm talking to them, they're talking to me, we're getting to know each other, is they'll say, well, my publisher says this or my publisher says that. And so everybody claims they have a publisher, but it's not really a publisher if you're publishing it yourself. It's you. It's called a vanity press, and there's nothing wrong with that. When I first started, my first book, Tales of Wordishire, was published by a company called Outskirts Press. Now, at the time, I didn't know how to put a book together, how to get it distributed, how to market it, anything like that. I was a graphic designer putting out a book, so I paid Outskirts Press a certain fee. Then they produced a certain amount of books, and I got them, and then I sold them. So, you know, you could say, oh, yeah, Outskirts Press is my publisher. No, they're a vanity press. Yes, they're a publishing company because they're publishing books. But, you know, that's it's just what it is. So, when somebody says, you know, I've got a publisher, I mean, honestly, it should be a traditional publisher who's paying you. If not, it's just a vanity press. So I just say I'm an independent author. This is what I do. And I can tell you this, I've talked to many traditional publishers who saw me at my displays and everything like that. And they've told me outright, you know, what you're doing is probably better than what we could do for you, because I make, you know, a nice share. So, and that's okay. You know, I've built up my audience over 14 years, and it's good. It works. So, would I ever traditionally publish? Well, sure, I'd consider it. Depends on what the offer is. Never say never about anything, you know. Would I like to be the next big thing? Sure. You know, but right now I am where I'm at. I'm toiling in the underground, which is, sometimes I like it, sometimes I don't. You know, it's like, there's pluses and minuses with everything. So, now, if you're going to independently publish, like I said, you got to be ready to hit the streets, do what you got to do. And, I mean, the blessings of it are you get to meet tons and tons of people. Some shows are good, some shows are bad. Now, what do I mean by shows? Most people go, okay, where do you go for one of your shows? And of course, like anybody else, I started out in bookstores. I'd go to a bookstore, I'd say, hey, I want to set up. And so they'll work out a deal with you. And, you know, they'll take 40, 50% of the sales, which is kind of normal. It's like that with any store that your books get into, if you can get them in a store. And just be prepared for that. Then from there, I went to, I started doing art and craft shows. And I was starting to pull in a little bit more profit there because I didn't have to pay that cut. I only had to pay a booth fee. So I've been doing that for many years, and I've been finding which shows work, which shows don't, things like that. And I'm going to talk about that in a future. You know, I'll break down the exact type of shows that I do to, you know, get this thing going. And other venues that I do are things like Renaissance festivals. I have a fantasy theme, so Renaissance festivals work for me. So I take full advantage of that, and I got a pretty big following there. It's always enjoyable meeting the people who go there time after time. And I go in, you know, the Michigan area. I go into Indiana. I've been to Wisconsin, and I've got lots of, you know, people that I do shows with in various things. I've even done a gun show. And, you know, people are like, oh, wow, how would you do a gun show? It's like, you know, because it's an open door. And I was thinking about it, and I was like, you know what? There is probably a lot of bored wives walking around with their husbands who are looking at the guns. So, and you know what? I was right. So I was very successful at that show to get that. And, yeah, you just never know. If there's an open door, take it. You know, I've done some pretty weird setups and just gone anywhere I could. And, you know, you pick up a fan or two here or there, and hey, it's good, you know. So, but there's some basics that I'd like to go over real quick. I'm really trying to keep the show under 15 minutes. So, what I want to do is I want people to leave comments. I mean, like, share, of course. And because mostly during these first few shows, I'm just spitballing. I'm throwing stuff out there. I'm hoping that you guys are watching it and go, you know, I got a question about what Mick's saying. And if you write and leave comments, what I'll do is I'll put them in the video. That way I can answer questions and have everybody hear their replies, which is what I hope to do, and you know, build up some interaction here. And there may be some questions that I just don't know, and I'll tell you that. You know, I'm pretty good at what I'm doing, but you know, do I have all the answers? Maybe not, but there will be people who I'm friends with who might know the answers. And that's one of the best things I can tell you about getting out there and actually meeting people, because I'll be sitting there, you know, doing my thing, you know, signing a book, talking about this, doing that, and somebody will come up and go, hey, you know, I know this or I know that. I'm like, can I work with you on stuff like hiring artists? You're like, how do I get artists? You know, artists come up to me at my booth. They see me like, hey, we like what you're doing. And I'm like, oh, you're an artist? And then we'll talk. And then I work with plenty of artists that I met at my shows. And, you know, you just get out there, and sometimes there's a TV crew there, a local TV crew or a local radio station. They'll come and interview you, and you'll get yourself out there, and people will kind of come to you. One of the products that I make is Fantasy Spices, and that came about through attending my shows and talking to people. And I'll go over that story more later. It's really fun. But it's my third highest selling product that I do. And people are like, Fantasy Spices? Hey, it works. You know, you got to do what you got to do. And, you know, hey, you never know. Maybe someday I'll be the king of the spices. I don't know. But what I'm going to talk about right now is some of the things you need to do as a beginning author. Some things you need to consider. Okay, you're sitting down, you've got your Word document, you've got your book written, you draft, whatever, you've had your friends read it, maybe you know somebody who's really good at going over stuff and finding all the errors they can, and that's great, you know. And maybe you've got an artist, and maybe you can lay it out, whatever. But one of the greatest tools that I use is Grammarly. I go to Grammarly.com because I am not an English major. I'm a creative major, so I use Grammarly a lot, and it helps. I do have an editor who goes through my books. Her name is Jennifer, and she just is fantastic. But what I like to do is use Grammarly before it even gets to her. So she's not spending, you know, 10 weeks editing my book. It cuts it down to a couple weeks. She's really good. But it makes her life a little bit better. That's a great tool. Another great thing to use is Bowkers. Yeah, Bowkers is something you really want to familiarize yourself with, because it's how you get your book identifiers and everything like that. It's just, we'll talk more about it. Maybe I'll do a whole show on Bowkers. And then, of course, every author wants to get themselves familiar with copywriting. Make sure your work is copyrighted, because you don't want to get it stolen. You know, very low chance of that as an independent author, but you never know. You might have this amazing idea that, you know, that somebody might want to steal. So get it copyrighted. And here's the thing, copyright.gov, it's a bit of a bear of a website. It really is. You kind of gotta, you know, fudge your way through it, and hopefully it'll work. You know, it's just, you know, you've been to those websites where you're like, I have no idea what's going on here. So, I mean, they might have videos on YouTube of how to get through that. So do that. That's a good thing to do. Familiarize yourself with it. You know, once you get through it once, you'll go through it pretty good. Okay, to sum it up for this episode, we went over traditional publishing and independent publishing. If you've got questions on either, like I said, put it in the comments. But you have to make a decision right up front. Am I going to go independent? Or am I going to be traditional? Now, one of the things I want to tell you, though, is sometimes traditional publishers like to look out for independent publishers. Like, I've got, you know, 14, 15 books out there right now, including my games and everything like that. Traditional publishers tend to like to come to me and go, hey, you are motivated. You are out there. You're pushing your stuff. You've built a small empire for yourself. We like that. So that's something to consider, that you might want to, you know, don't give up on traditional publishing if you're being an independent, but at the same time, don't give up you know, a lot of your rights on stuff. I mean, it's great to work with them and everything, but, you know, be smart. Okay, for my shameless plug, I'm going to show you my game. This was the first game I made for my Unremembered Realms world. It's called The Forbidden Treasure of Miftenmad. It's a, you know, cute little game. You play a rogue and you're trying to roll the dice and unlock the locks on a treasure chest. It's a lot like Yahtzee meets D&D. Sorry if I'm a little, I just had dinner. Sorry about that. So let me open up the box for you. So I found, in my travels of doing shows, I found a company that publishes games, and they do it at a very reasonable price. I met them at a gaming convention, because I was doing book signings at a gaming convention, because I have a fantasy theme, and a lot of people thought that was cool, so they invited me. I went, and great. It's called the Grand Con Gaming Convention. It's in Grand Rapids every year. Great bunch of people. I think the guy's name is Brian who runs it. It's fantastic. But I met a gentleman named Dave, and he's a rep for this company. And so he helped me get the dice, the rules made. You know, doing a game is a lot like writing a book. You know, it has all the components. You know, I put my own little storybook in here that has one of the stories from my Unremembered Realms. But there's special stories built just for the game from my Realms books. Why would I do that? Well, because I want to tie it in. Because if people love playing games, but they don't like reading books that much, well, if they buy the game, they'll read this little story, they'll get a chuckle, then they'll go, you know what, maybe I will give this book a try. I've sold a lot of books like that, you know, and I do that on purpose. So I want to reach people. I want to make people happy. So here's the game cards where you roll the dice trying to unlock the locks on these treasure chests. There's it's a game pad. It's really fun. And then I also have my rules. So try not to get too much reflection on this. It explains the dice and everything like that. But like I said, I mean, I copyright these just like I do the books. I go to I send everything to copyright.gov as a PDF, and that's how they're made. And I take these to shows, and it's excellent because right there at the table is all my books, boop, 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 and then the games, boop, boop, boop. You know, and I've got many games, many books, and it gives a lot of people a lot to look at, and they enjoy the artwork. I have an excellent artist who does most of my stuff, and like I said, I got many great artists, and we'll talk about them later. So hope you enjoy the show. Like I said, like, share, and comment, you know, and when you comment, I'll answer your questions. Thanks.